everyone, Chef Sarah here with the Sylvia Center. We're a nonprofit specializing in providing food and nutrition education throughout New York City and Columbia County. Today I want to talk about recipes. Recipes are a really great starting point, especially if you're new to cooking. It's a really good way to teach yourself to cook and learn how to cook by following a recipe exactly. And then once you get really confident, you can kind of go out on your own and change the recipe or alter it or even write your own recipes. There are two parts to a recipe. There's the ingredient list and there is the instructions. The ingredient list is where it has everything listed. This part is really important to read completely before you start because you might just at first see it says 1 onion or 1 carrot, but what you really want to pay attention to is what it says next to that. So it might say 1 onion diced or 1 carrot, small diced. It might say garlic minced. So you really want to pay attention to that because there might be a little prep work listed on there that you want to start before you start your cooking. If you went over and started making soup and realized that you had nothing cut, then you might, burn things, something might cook too long, that sort of thing. So always, always, always read that ingredient list completely before starting. Under the ingredient list is the instructions. I recommend also reading that completely. Sometimes I like to write out a step-by-step guide of what's going to go into the pot and how long it's going to cook. That way when I start cooking, it's really easy to jump right in and make sure everything is perfect. I'm going to talk about what is in front of me today. We are making something that we like to call whatever you want soup. It's also, you can call it anything soup. I like to call it Sarah needs to clean out her fridge soup, which basically means you can use whatever you might have on hand. These are some of my favorite recipes. It's kind of a choose your own adventure, and you can use up some items that might otherwise start to go bad or some scraps that you might have left over. So for my anything soup, I have cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes. They're kind of called either one. These are really fun to use because as they cook, they kind of pop open and add lots of flavor and a really good saucy texture to our soup. I also have chickpeas. This is just a simple can of chickpeas. I did rinse these in cold water because I do not like that starchy liquid that comes on the chickpeas. It's also really salty. So I just gave these a super quick rinse in cold water. I have an onion and garlic. Onion and garlic is kind of a good starting point to any soup. There's so much flavor in both of these, and it's really, really going to make sure all of our soup has tons of added flavor without having to add too many ingredients. I also have a green onion. I have a red pepper. You can see it's half. It's starting to get a little wilty, so it's good to use in soup because since it's going to cook down, we don't really worry so much about the crunch where if we were adding this to a salad. I have a carrot. I have some sweet potatoes here, which once again, I used the rest of the bag making sweet potato fries. And now these last two just kind of sat in my pantry for a while and decided it was time to use those up. I also have some vegetable stock. This is homemade vegetable stock. So I used all my vegetable scraps from last week and boiled them, or kept them actually to simmer for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, until it added all the flavor to the liquid. You can also use store-bought vegetable stock, chicken stock, whatever you might have around. I also have salt and pepper and red pepper flakes. You always want to add salt and pepper. Without adding salt and pepper, the soup's going to taste really bland. I personally like to add a little bit of red pepper flakes because I do like a little bit of spice. But in your soup, since it is your anything soup, you can add whatever spices that you might want. I also have a little bit of olive oil. That's what we're going to use to saute our vegetables in. Okay, so we are going to get started by getting everything cut. I like to keep things, for the most part, at the same size. The sweet potatoes I want to keep a little bit larger because we're going to let those cook in the soup for a while. So let's cut all of our stuff. Okay, so all of our veggies are cut and ready to go in our soup. Everything is pretty much small diced, except for our sweet potatoes, which I cut a little bit larger into a medium dice, and our garlic is minced, which means it's chopped very, very, very fine. So let's go make our soup. so our soup is done. It smells fantastic in here. You can see it nice and steamy. I'm going to taste test the soup. I like to taste it because sometimes we need to add more salt or pepper or the red pepper flake or whatever spices you might be using. I did season it over there with all three, but I'm going to taste test and see what it needs. I am using a clean spoon that I'm only using once. Once you use a spoon, you want to add it to the sink, and you don't want to use it to add any kind of germs to whoever you're cooking for. So let's taste test. Ooh, it's really good. I am going to add a pinch of salt and a little pinch of pepper. It doesn't need much, but we're going to add just a little bit. Okay, that should be good. I'm going to give that a little mix. I like my soups nice and chunky, as you can see, but if you really like brothy soups, you could add more broth and less of the other ingredients. I want to talk about some variations for this soup. You could add beans instead of those chickpeas, a nice can of beans. You could use really any kind that you can think of. You could add pasta. You could add any vegetable. So you could do zucchini, cauliflower. You could do corn and peas. This would have been amazing with some leafy greens. I didn't have any on hand, but I would have definitely added some leafy greens if I would have had them. That would pack so much flavor and so many nutrients as well. It's really, really endless. I also personally like to always garnish soup with something. So I like to add something to the top just to give it a little extra pizzazz. You could add herbs if you have something nice and crunchy like croutons. You could grate a little Parmesan cheese on there. Today I'm just going to add my green onions that I have here. So I'm going to put that on top. And this will add a little crunch and a little extra flavor as well. If you want recipes like this one or activities, community resources, go on our website. Keep cooking. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.